This here is the cat house, and that used to be my little workshop. And what I did last year is I built my own little workshop. This is before the mill even, because I needed to get out of the cat house because the cats were taking over all my stuff.
Is there still cats in there?
There's cats. They're sitting there. I didn't let them out today because they don't like strangers. If I let them out, I'm going to have a hard time getting them back. So I have this whole thing that people love it in the videos anyways, where honestly, it's like, Dexter! It's like, I'm doing this with all the cats' names, and then they will come back. Like they literally, like I'm not faking it. It's like I open the door and I'm like, come on, Dexter, and he runs into the thing. Hi, cats. That's Fozzie. That's Fozzie Bear. I have an idea of building a bridge right here to this tree and then building a tree house for the cats.
That would be
I thought that would be pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be like, you know, like roofed in, and then they would have a cage all around, and they could go back and forth from their cat cave. I call it the cat cave.
Yeah.
And then I just, you know, this is like a nice, I think it's an oak, maple. I mean, I built the Chateau du Poulet chicken house, and this is my pride and joy because it has 7 coops. It's octagonal, meaning it has 8 sides, and I'm able to free range the chickens by flock or not if I choose. I don't know, I think it's a cool structure.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can go in there and I can service all the animals. It's nice in the winter. They have a roof in the coop and they have a roof over the run. And it's all hardware cloth protected.
So what was the process of building it all then?
I mean, the process was clearing one tree I had to get rid of only. And I strategically put it under these 2 trees. This is, I think, an ash tree and that's an oak. And that way it's somewhat shaded and protected from the weather even on its own. But I laid out paver stones all along the ground and just started building the frame. 22.5 degrees was the angle that I got ingrained in my head because every corner is 22.5 degrees because it's octagonal. See, the geese are smart enough to know that you guys are strangers because they don't do that really, like a little bit with me, but not to that extent. That's why the Roman Empire used to use geese as alarm systems when all their soldiers were sleeping at night, eh? This is the Ducky Bunky. This was the first structure that I built on the farm, and obviously to house the ducks. And I planned it out in such a way that their run kind of points to the orchard. And I had this idea of trying to make our small farm as sustainable as possible. And the idea is that the ducks will roam the orchard free range to eat the bugs and protect the orchard. Geese are out there in the Goose Caboose to protect the ducks. This is the Goose Caboose. But it's the same concept that this is the goose run, and I just open up the doors for them and then the geese come out. There's 4 guard geese, 2 boys, 2 girls. And those are our breeding geese too. So those other geese that you saw down there, those are the offspring of these guys.
Okay.
And it looks, I tried my best to make it look like a vintage
It totally
caboose.
looks like a caboose.
And there's less weeds on the other side. It was about time that I spent too much money over the years on lumber. And I mean, of course, you learn things as you go. I'm from Toronto, so I really don't know anything about the country life. And I was a handy guy, yes, but I mean, at what point do I say, you know what? I see other guys buying a mill, how bad can it be? So then you start investigating prices and it's like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. You know, 10 grand here is not that bad considering I spent 20 grand on lumber. When I take you down to show you the the structure that I built to cover the mill, I would imagine each beam that I made is gotta be $700 or $800 if you custom order it. We're lucky that we have 15 acres of forest. It's a forest that hasn't been managed properly.
Okay.
So
You have a lot of dead trees.
there's dead trees and there's dying trees. Or I'm trying my darndest not to take the pure healthy trees. And I want to build a sugar shack in the woods from stuff that I mill.
Oh, you
So I
have a
don't
lot of
want,
maple?
there's tons, it's all sugar maple too. I have this vision though that I want to make a sugar shack that can somehow transform into a little cabin. So there's a tree that fell right there. You can see it's all damaged. That's an oak tree. I got to see if I can save a piece of it to get it on the mill. Most of the wood on our property is hardwood. Those logs, it's like the blade just went through easy, like butter. Well, hot knife through butter, really. And of course, I'm not thinking much of it in that moment. I'm just thinking, wow, this mill is pretty cool. It can just cut through this stuff like it's nothing. See how it's all on a slant right here? The whole property is leading up to the mountain. So I see further up there behind those trees, a bunch of sheep free ranging in here and a Hobbit house that I would build where you cut into the mountain a bit and kind of build a Hobbit house with those round doors.
Cool.
And then the sheep would just be grazing in the grass, and that would be like, you could literally be in there on your front patio having breakfast with fresh eggs from the farm.
Oh.
And there's sheep maybe there,
That's a dream.
right there. I know.
Let me know when it's ready. First guest. We drove in and I was like, oh my god, pigs.
Are you finding that the mill is like expanding what you want to do on the farm?
Definitely. What the mill is going to do for me is allow me to individualize my future projects. And what I mean by that is maybe I could build something a little bit more extravagant or a little bit more unique or cool because I don't have to spend all this money on lumber. So we had a lot of viewers who watched the sawmill, the beginning of the sawmill. Like, I put the thing together, I unboxed it, it was like 2 videos of me just putting the thing together, like step by step, actually looked like showing the manual, because I've never put anything together that was this complicated before. Like, it's a big thick book manual. It's like, it's intimidating, very intimidating.
Never done anything like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But really, the Woodland Mills manual is very simplified.
Yeah.
A viewer from Massachusetts sent us that
Aw, that's
because it was a big deal. You know, like Molly and me in the beginning of the farm, I have probably a dozen videos that are really Old English Sheepdog related, where it might be, 10 reasons why you need an Old English Sheepdog, or a beginner's guide to Old English Sheepdogs, and I would just talk about my experiences and list out a bunch of things. So there must be 40,000 people that subscribe to the channel because of Molly, because it was me and her.
That's where it started, eh?
This is how it all started. And I got this was the first thing that I got from Woodland Mills because first of all, I like the fact that Woodland Mills is local. And I like the fact that this has an auto feeder. And I only got the WC68, which does up to the 6-inch sizing, because I figure anything larger than 6 inches, I'm not gonna be chipping it. That'll just become firewood. So it was unnecessary. But we use wood chips all over the farm. We use wood chips in the garden. We use wood chips in the forest for the trails. We use wood chips as animal bedding, especially in the spring when it's all mucky and muddy, and the wood chips really help with that. And the wood chips turn into soil after a few years anyway, in my experience. Here in Horseshoe Valley, Ontario, Canada, we get a lot of snow. And I just couldn't picture myself trying to mill something throughout the winter with snow. It's just a hassle. I mean, I've seen people do it. You must spend 4 hours shoveling the snow from in and around all the mill. Still a work in progress. From the side of that shop to the end of this mill here, of the shelter here, is 45 feet.
Insane.
So
And then how?
it worked out that it's 11.5 feet tall.
Okay.
And from that end to that end is 45 feet, but I'm gonna be extending the roof further that way to cover all the wood drying area
Okay.
so that I can have a little work area. And you always need a roofed in area in my experience.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, right? What is to be able to continue to do things and get out of the weather. So the plan is to continue the rafters from this is like a middle beam, right? So we got 14-foot rafters here, and I'm gonna continue these rafters down to the end so that this will all be covered in. So I'm talking like in line with our firewood area. So on the back of the workshop, I built this little firewood area because, again, I want to be able to do firewood when it's bad weather, right? I don't do firewood in the summer. I'm busy building stuff in the summer. I'm doing farm stuff, animal stuff in the summer. So firewood, I'm going to be doing so much milling this coming winter because it's covered as it is right now. Get the trees in the winter. That's for me the best time because you're not dealing with the bugs out in the forest. Everything that you see right here, I've done it myself. I have the videos to prove it.
Yeah, that's true.
I even mix the cement by hand with a wheelbarrow. It's been a fun process. And remember I was telling you earlier about these beams, right? Like I milled them all 6 inches, okay? Which was an initial mistake because when you buy the little bracket that fits on the cement from the hardware store to hold your beam, those are only made for 5.5. So all of the posts that I already had milled, I had to get them back on the mill to shave off 1/2 inch. But that's the beam right there that's 24 feet long, right? This beam is about 15.5. That's 16 there. It's massive. Like I wanted the big beams because I wanted it to be as open as possible because this is, like for example, when I bought the mill, I also bought the blade sharpener and I also bought the tooth setter, which are still in the box because I don't even know how to set it up yet. I'm thinking like it could be done right here. This is gonna be a closed in wall and you know, like this is all nice, it's open. There's not all these columns in the way. You got a column here. This is enough space to move around. One of the things I really, really enjoy about building my own things is the sense of satisfaction that I get when I'm done. Like a sense of accomplishment. You don't feel usually when you do anything in your life unless you finish a project. Especially a project this massive. I really, really am enjoying this mill. I have 0 experience on any previous milling. I've never been with a friend and they had a mill and I've tried theirs. This is the first experience I have with a mill. There's a lot of reasons why I wanted to get into milling my own lumber. And in our particular case here on our farm is 90 acres, and we have 15 acres of hardwood forest that's never been managed, or maybe it has, but not in the past few decades at least. So there's a lot of old growth that is on its way down, you know, maybe it's getting towards the end of its life, or maybe it's just not as healthy as it should be because of all of the unhealthy nature of the forest. So the forest needs to be helped. So do I hire somebody to do the forest? Which I might make 40K off, you know, for somebody paying me to do it, and then I'll end up with this vacant forest. Maybe it won't even be a forest anymore. So why not do it myself and continue the endeavor of making our property as self-sustainable as we can. That's the ultimate goal here. Just speaking about the animals, you know, we haven't bought any eggs for how many years now? We haven't bought any chicken meat for how many years now? We also do duck meat and goose meat. So, garden, right? My wife has jars, she's got pickles, she's got spaghetti sauce, she's got canned tomatoes, she's got all this stuff that she's prepared that it takes you little by little closer to self-sufficiency, and this is what the mill will help with. Taking you just that another step, maybe a big step for some, maybe a small step for others. For us, it's a big substantial step because we're continuing to develop the farm business aspect of the farm. It's not just a homestead. We're trying to create a business. So we're talking sugar shacks, we're talking tiny homes that we're gonna rent out, we're talking tree houses in the forest, you know? Maybe get into those glamping domes that some people do. That's all gonna get thought of and planned out with the HM136 Max sawmill.
That's amazing though that you're starting to get visitors from your YouTube who are from your YouTube.
Yeah. And I mean, that was the original concept in starting the YouTube channel, okay? I'm in the Philippines, I'm on vacation. It was the beginning of COVID, but we had just closed on this property, sitting there, and I'm flicking through YouTube, and I'm seeing these farm type channels, homestead type channels that have like 1 million subscribers and don't have a job anymore because they've quit their job just to do YouTube. And of course, me being me, I'm just like, well, why can't I do that? So that's how it all started. What if I can get a little customer base going that I can actually build the business through YouTube? I mean, this mill's gonna actually take us to the next step because it'll allow me to build some more structures which will A, continue building the YouTube channel, and B, continue building the farm stay.